Hey, what's happening, gamers? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to Kwingsletsplays and more of the Road to Mario Kart World. Episode 43, Wii U 200cc is a nightmare, or whatever. I think that's the name of it. I'm having a crazy day today, so there will be some ranting, just so you know, because I had a bomb go off in my lap, basically, and I'm not happy, because I don't know, maybe some of you have seen it, but Amber's been kind of... Amber's been on the warpath for about a week because she was worried about my parents coming, right? Which, I mean, that's normal for women. Women, wives, they get very upset when company comes, and even though she had a month's notice or more, as you get closer to the date that family comes, women tend to fly off the handle. You know, everything's got to be clean and spotless, and the mother-in-law's coming, all that other stuff, right? Normal. My dad calls... very nonchalant. I'm in the hospital, and we won't be coming up this weekend. It's like, okay, first, they're not coming up for the week, and then, wait, I'm sorry, what? You're in the hospital? It's like, this is my life. This is what always happens. It is. But that's not the icing on the cake. Do you know why he's in the hospital? It's his own fault. This is the funny thing. Why is it his fault? How did he get bronchitis? Because how do you get bronchitis in the summer? Well, you get bronchitis if you're a volunteer firefighter. Yeah. Like, when was I going to find out this news? My 65-year-old father is a volunteer firefighter. Am I crazy? I mean, if you were in my position, my dad is like 25 years older than me or whatever. You were in my position, you're... almost elderly father is in the hospital because he's a volunteer firefighter. What are you supposed to think? Of course he's having problem with his lungs. He's breathing in smoke. It's like, I have nothing against firefighters, but I think that's a young man's game. What in the world is a 65-year-old retired pastor doing as a firefighter? Do you know? He told me he was going to take it easy. He promised me. I have a lot of stress because of the ministry. Okay, Dad, find a hobby. I guess that hobby includes fighting fires! Really? Well, my dad was a martial artist, so he's in pretty good shape. But he's 65 years old. Seriously. So, not only did I have my wife, like, literally breathing down my neck like a fire-breathing dragon, like, literally everything I did wrong, or everything I could possibly do wrong. Like, yesterday's tasteless joke was just a joke, but she took that, she almost packed her bags and left. I'm not kidding. Like, I had to really smooth things over last night, and she was doing much better until she came home and blew her top again, and then as soon as my parents said they weren't coming, she was fine! I'm like, what? What about my feelings in all this? Like, why was I the villain for a week when I didn't even do anything? I even volunteered to do the fridge. You want to know what happened? When I walked over to the fridge to empty it out, you better not throw out any food that's brand new. I was going to check the dates. I was just going to get rid of the stuff that's rotting! Seriously! So basically, everything that happened over the course of the week, I was a victim. Like, I didn't do anything wrong, and I had, like, all this stuff happen to me. Out of nowhere! Oh. So, I mean, yeah, I'm taking my dad's new job, or, excuse me, volunteer job very well. So he has bronchitis, he has a horrible cough, and I felt bad for him for a second. I felt really bad for my dad. I was like, oh man, it's that time of year. People get sick, right? My mom tells me, oh, he got sick because he's a firefighter now. I'm just like, well, what? What? He's 65, yeah. Why is he, I know this is like a deadbeat town that he lives in, but why is a 65-year-old man working with the fire department? Explain this to me. So, the reason he's sick is because of smoke at his age. You know, because firefighters inhale smoke. You know, they go in, they help somebody. Apparently there was a major fire that happened in that community, like, over the week. So, you know, and I'm proud of my dad for volunteering, but that's not the only thing he does. My dad and I both share nerve disease. We both have neuropathy. I can't walk very well without a cane. So not only is he, you know, doing the firefighter thing, I also find out he's a driver for Meals on Wheels. And he's a cook. And it's like, I'm talking to my dad, it's like, what are you doing for your retirement? You were a pastor for 45 years, and now you're doing all this? You told me you were going to take it easy. It's like, I'm tempted to move back to New York just to keep that old codger in his place. It's like, what? What else are you doing? You're going to go fight a war next? Seriously. Ugh. So yeah, that's my life right now. And as the eldest, again, I'm the last one to find out all this stuff. Everyone else in my family knew, oh yeah, he's a firefighter now. It's like, I'm sorry, what? When? When did this happen? My grandma just passed away in January. When did he become a firefighter? Oh, I see, like a couple months after she passed. Okay, yeah, Oh, wait, he's always done that? Oh, I had no idea. Okay, great. It's like, if he was my age, yeah, sure, go for it. Be a volunteer firefighter, but you're like you're 5 years away from 70, Dad. Seriously. Shame on you. Shame, 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 shame. What are you, Chuck Norris? I could see Chuck Norris in his 80s being a volunteer firefighter, but the smoke is going to do him in, too. It's like, seriously, Dad, just, like, go be a Walmart greeter or something. Or you know, working in a soup kitchen's fine. Being a Meals on Wheels person, totally fine. Whatever. But a firefighter at your age? Come on. What am I being pranked? Where's Ashton? Am I being punked? Is this punked? This feels like this is punked. And, you know, whatever, he's happy and nonsense, but he was going to come up and see me for the weekend, and then he's like, hey, son, I have to reschedule. You want to know how he told me he rescheduled? This is how my dad told me he rescheduled. I heard a nurse in the background saying, you know, so-and-so, we need to put in the IV now. He's like, 1 second, I'm on the phone with my son. I'm like, you're in the hospital? You're calling me from the hospital. Dad! Yeah, see? Exactly, Sora. Your dad was a firefighter or whatever, or a grandfather, but he was retired by, you know, the time you were born. My grandfather, who passed away a long time ago, was a police officer for like 40 years. When I was born, he retired as a policeman. Why? Well, because policemen can get killed, right? Firefighters is a very dangerous occupation. Even for a young man, you know, but a 65-year-old man? Seriously. Like, why? Like, what? Is he having some type of midlife crisis that I don't know about? Is this because I haven't given him grandkids? Like, what is happening with him? Like, I just don't get it. Oh yeah, I got a lot to unpack. I'm having a day today. My dad calls me from the hospital, telling me nonchalant, "Oh yeah, we have to reschedule for June." It's like, "Oh, no problem, Dad. Are you in the hospital?" No. Nurse comes in. "We need to do an IV and we need to check for this, sir." And I'm just like, "You're in the hospital. You're calling me from the hospital, and you sound terrible." And he's like, "Oh, it's just bronchitis." Okay. Well, I get that. Yeah, of course. Take care. There's a lot of rain happening in Pennsylvania. You were going to be in a camper. Did I tell you this? He wasn't going to stay in my house. No. My dad was going to rough it in the woods in a camper. The entire week that he was here, he was going to stay in his camper. Instead of my house, nice warm beds and, you know, civilization. No, he's going to risk his throat issues and his neuropathy out in the wild in a camper. Because he likes to camp. Okay. So, you know, for a split second, I felt bad for him. I did. I was like, oh, my dad, you know, he's got it rough. He's got bronchitis. That cough sounds terrible. My mom, bless her heart, my mom is the one that always fills me in on what's going on with that old man. That crazy old man. My mom always has the dirt on that guy. So, mom gives me context to everything. Oh, no, he doesn't have bronchitis because of this. He's a firefighter. I'm like, what? Back up. What did you say? Yeah, he's a volunteer firefighter now. Which is amazing, because he's 65. It's like, he's 65, and he's out fighting fires. And that's why he's in the hospital. Okay. Makes sense. No. No, don't. I just buried my grandma, who lived to be 100. The type of shenanigans my dad's doing, he's not going to make 70. Like, seriously. And he told me, I will tell you this in confidence. The ministry... Like, being a pastor was getting incredibly stressful because of freaks and weirdos. My dad was close to getting a heart attack several times for being in the ministry for 40 years and basically having to dealing, like, this last couple years in the ministry with cancel culture weirdos and all this other stuff. And I go through cancel culture all the time. But, you know, he's ailing, he's old, whatever. So I understood. I was like, you know, you need to do something that's not really... You got to enjoy your retirement. You worked, you got your retirement coming in. And he says, well, you know, I'm going to be a part-time pastor. It's like, what? Says, you just told me you're getting out of the ministry because it's so stressful. He says, well, you know, I'll go and I'll do speeches and stuff every once in a while. It's like, but that still means you're in the ministry. And he's like, well, you know, I'm going to travel too. And it's like, do you know what retirement means? It's like, fine, just do that. Just promise me you're going to relax. This is after I buried my grandma, okay? I'm like, yeah, okay, of course. You know, you do your retirement. I'm not going to bother you. As long as you don't do something stupid, I'm not going to bother you. Then I find out 4 months later, he's a firefighter now. What? I mean, if you're in my position, you're the eldest in the family, how would you react to all this? Like, you had no idea, by the way. Everything was told to you today. Everything. Like, it just boom. Like, literally less than, how long? An hour ago. It all happened an hour ago, by the way. 1 hour ago. You're in my position. How would you handle all this? I'm just curious. Your dad's 65. He's not doing well in terms of, like, his lungs. And you find out, instead of taking care of himself, he's literally become a volunteer firefighter. Which will deal with fighting fires and smoke. Right. So I think I'm justified in being a little miffed at him because my dad is always, you know... We had to move all the time because of his job in the ministry. Like, I never really got to live in a hometown, ever. Like, the longest I ever lived somewhere was, like, barely 10 years, and I was in my teenage years when that happened. And then, of course, I went back to New York. But I lived in several parts of New York. I was ripped away from all my friends as a kid because my dad was a pastor. Then, oh, you want to know where he took his family? Where do you think my dad's first job as a pastor was? You want to know? Okay, I'll tell you, because this was a long time ago. It was in the frickin' hood of Detroit! My father, as a young man, took his family, a nice place in New York, right outside of New York City, and he brought us to the hood of Detroit, where his church was. So I went from a safe place growing up to a not-so-safe ghetto. Oh, yeah! Detroit! That Detroit! As a 7-year-old boy. Yup! I couldn't even walk on the streets. It was horrible. I'm actually glad I broke my arms, like, during that time period, because I was at home playing video games. Like, it was a very dangerous place. We had a gas station where there was broken glass everywhere. There was always kids outside smoking. You know? One of the kids took my pet turtle and, like, put on the garage door and smushed my turtle. That was one of the kids in our neighborhood. Right? Detroit was a very bad place. Still a bad place. It's Detroit. Thankfully, for his second job, he got moved back to, like, I wouldn't say the suburbs. It was more like the country of New York, where he was a minister there in a small town outside of Troy and Albany, where he was in the ministry at that church from, like, 1991 until, like, 96. And then we went all the way to Illinois, where he stayed the longest as his job as a pastor, and he took us to the country. Where, you know, they paid him more, and we had a house to live in. It was nice. We had a place to live. We weren't renting or whatever. And then, you know, based on all that experience, as soon as I came of age, I went back to New York. I didn't want to deal with it anymore because, like, I was uprooted all the time. I was basically a military brat, except I was a pastor's kid. Like, I was always rooted out of wherever I was living. I didn't have any time to make any friends because, you know, just like the military, pastors move a lot. It's very rare for them to be at a church more than like 3 or 4 years. So, I'm part of the way I am because of all the places I've been. So I'm sorry if I'm not Mr. Nice Guy. But I have a lot in me from all over the place. I've taken life lessons from all over the place. That's why Amber and I are very different when it comes to street smarts and things like that. I know what the streets are like. I grew up there as a kid. You know? I know what the ghetto's like. I know what all this stuff is like. I experienced it. I had to walk to school through the ghetto when I was 7 years old. Think about that for a second. I had to walk to the bus stop and ride with some very unsavory characters. And then when we moved to Illinois years later, we actually had people who were like dumped in from Chicago because we lived in a town that was right outside of Chicago. So I went to literally one of the meanest high schools in the United States during the early 2000s. In fact, I believe our high school made the list of like 50 most dangerous high schools after Columbine. So that was fun. So I was very happy to go back to New York when I was 18 years old or whatever. I stayed with my grandparents. I went to college. It was all great. Then 9/11 happened, and, well, I had to go back to Illinois for a while. But, silver lining, I met my cute wifey in Illinois. But as soon as we got married, or rather, as soon as we got engaged, my family got their next job in Boston. And because I was recovering from my car accident, I had to go live with my parents for a couple years until we got married. And we relocated to Boston, and Boston was actually the last real church my dad did until, like, he went to where he is in New York now. But, I mean, he's not doing what he's supposed to with retirement. Like, I don't get that guy. And he's always been a crazy guy. Like, he's been a security guard. He's been a mailman. He's worked in a power plant. He's worked construction. He's done carpentry. Like, the man can't sit down. Like, even though he's got a disability with his leg or whatever, he's still, he just won't, he doesn't know how to calm down. If you tell my dad to sit still, it's like the same as telling him to just, like, you know, it's like you're telling him to roll over and die. Like, if you can't tell him, if you say, hey, you can't do this, because he's going to do it anyway. That's just how he is. You know? That's my dad. Oh my gosh, did I get gold? Wait, are they going to give it to me or no? Nope. No, they're not going to give it to me because Baby Peach. All right, so I got second that time. So you know, I'm a little heated today. You know, because he promised. He retired from the ministry 2 years ago, and he promised me he was going to just like only do occasion. He was going to be a pastor that only spoke when a pastor in his region, which there's like 50 churches in his region, went on vacation. What he didn't tell me is all these different pastors go on vacation in the summertime. So he's writing sermons, and he's going to like all these different churches and like almost like working and doing a sermon every month almost. Several times a month. So he doesn't know how to retire. I thought he would just be like a simple Walmart greeter or maybe, you know, Salvation Army bell ringing or, you know, whatever old people do. You know, and he's just like, I don't know. He just can't sit still. Now, bear in mind, my dad has ADD like I do. So, I mean, how often do I not multitask? It's impossible for me not to do something. I always have to be doing something. But, I mean, there's other things that he could do. And if he's now developing a health condition with his lungs because he's dealing with smoke all the time as a firefighter, I'm just like, I just don't get you, Dad. I haven't chewed him out yet because, I mean, literally he was in the hospital. I'm chewing him out online. Maybe he'll watch this. Maybe he won't. He probably won't. He only watches the cat vlogs because the cat vlogs are happy, is what he said. So, the chance of him watching this stream is very rare. But I'm annoyed with him. I am. Because, you know, I want him to take care of himself, and now he's rushing into fires, and, you know, before he put out spiritual fires, and now literally he's putting out real fires. And it's just like, Dad, just be a Walmart greeter. It's safer, you know? And as a Walmart greeter, don't tackle people. Don't be like loss prevention or something. Just check people's receipt at the door. That's all I want you to do. You know, I'm not asking a lot. I don't think I'm being unreasonable either. I really don't. I don't think I'm being unreasonable whatsoever. I think that he's the unreasonable one, personally. Because he's put me in this position, you know? Ah! Are you going to be like those old people that... I mean, I'm always going to work, but I will tell you one thing, Miss Deanna. When I'm 60, I'm not going to take a job as a volunteer firefighter. That's a young man's game. Like, you know? I would find something to do. I would probably work at a soup kitchen. I would probably, you know, because I don't know how the YouTube thing is going to work out. I mean, how many people want to see an old guy play video games? Like, that's going to be weird. So I'll find something to do. I'll probably get into narration work. Maybe I'll work at a radio station. I don't know. But I will work, yeah. I can't... I've known too many people who are elderly. As soon as they stop working, they die. Because they get really depressed and they feel like people don't need them. But, I mean, my dad is not that kind of person, though, because he's already busy. Like, as I forget what they call a pastor who's retired, but when you're a retired pastor and people go on vacation and you fill in for the pastor, that's still work. You're still being paid for your sermon and for your time at the church. And in the area that he lives, there's 50 churches in that area. And every single one of them, when they go away, which is around the same time frame, he's still working almost every Sunday, even though he's not doing all the things as a minister. And I will tell you all the things my dad did as a minister, okay? My dad was a workaholic. My dad was a part of the clergy at the hospital. So whenever somebody was near death or sick, he would have a pager and have to go to the hospital. He did that for 20 years as an on-call minister with the ER, okay? So that's one thing he always did. My dad has a heart for elderly, so he had what's known as, like, shut-in ministry. So every day, he would drive to a person's house that was not able to go to church anymore, and he would have communion with them. He would fellowship with them and read the Bible to them if they couldn't read. My dad helped with the youth group. My dad was part of the worship team. He plays the guitar and the piano, which means he would get up super early, and the worship team would practice at like 7 a.m. He did that for 30 years, on top of being a minister. He was a custodian of 2 of our churches, so he would get up, even the days that he didn't work, you'd see him out there in the little lawnmower, riding around the property, you know, cutting the church's grass. He would clean all the toilets, he would clean the kitchen, he would do everything. Like, there were very few churches that actually had proper staff that my dad literally wasn't the jack of all trades. And he did that for so many years. And finally, when he gets to the point of retirement, because my dad doesn't have a good heart, okay? My dad, he doesn't. He's done too many crazy stuff. He promised me that when he finally retired that he was going to slow down. And now he's doing the opposite. So I'm mad at him. You know? Most ministers that I've met, all they do is preach. They don't do all the stuff my dad does. They have departments for that. There's a youth department. There's a worship team department. There's a choir department. He was in every single one of them. So as a pastor's kid, I looked really bad if I didn't join the worship team and do the drumming. Or if I wasn't part of choir. Or if I wasn't part of youth ministries. Because I was a pastor's kid and my dad was outdoing me in, you know, brownie points of Christianity or whatever. The pastor did more for the churches than the pastor's family ever could. I mean, that was insane. And you would think that he would slow down in his old age, but nah. No, now he's a volunteer firefighter on top of, you know, filling in for pastors when they don't, you know, when they go on vacation. And, you know, I bet you he's still on call as a clergy at the hospital. I bet you. Which means, just so you know, if you're on call, that means you can be called in at any time, day or night, for, like, giving last rites or whatever. Like, it's another job in itself in the ministry. So, I mean, he's constantly going to the hospital, or at least he was. But he promised the eldest of the family that he was going to calm down so he would be around for a while. And it feels like he's working himself into the grave. That's what it feels like. It feels like he just can't help himself. And maybe, you know, he's doing dangerous stuff because he misses my grandma. I don't know. I have never really gotten a chance to talk to him very much after my grandma passed away. But he looked pretty chill and happy the last time I saw him in January. So I was assuming, you know, he was just doing his normal stuff. I even told him to start up a computer repair business again, because he really likes that stuff. It's like, Dad, just go back to building computers. You know, you're really good at it. There's all these, like, crazy, like, scalpers and stuff. You could actually sell a pretty good computer and, you know, actually not give people a lemon or whatever. You know, you're really good at that kind of stuff. You love technology. It's a job that will keep you home. I think it's a win-win. Besides, I need a new computer. You know, that kind of stuff. I figured, you know, maybe he would go back to what he did in the 90s as a side job. But nah. Now he does something that I didn't even think he was going to do. Which is, I'm surprised that he didn't do the firefighter thing when he was in his, like, 30s and 40s. But whatever. That's my dad for you. My dad is the exact opposite of me. Also, his neuropathy isn't as bad as mine. Like, I have problems walking, and I walk with a cane. My dad has had neuropathy for, like, 20 years, and he can still walk most days. Other days, he has to put his feet up, and, you know, he has to take all kinds of medicine and get shots and stuff like that. But he's super active. He never slows down. I don't know where the man gets his energy, personally. I don't know. Because he can't stay up very late, from what I've seen. My dad goes to bed at like around 9 o'clock unless the hospital calls him or something. I've never seen my dad stay up past midnight. Unless his pager goes off. Is everything okay with Amber and my relationship? Yeah. My wife, like most wives, gets stressed when family comes. Most wives are terrified of the mother-in-law. Because the mother-in-law, moms are usually very judgmental because you are married to their baby. So the mother-in-law of, like, Amber's mother-in-law, my mom, in a sense, my wife is scared of my mom and thinks that the house needs to be immaculate. So, because Amber's not very good at cleaning in general and she freaks out about everything, guess who gets all the blame? Guess who gets yelled at? Guess who, like, has all her focal point on in this house is me, because I'm the only one here. She's just venting. She's scared. She's nervous. But who gets the brunt of all that? Me! So what you shouldn't be asking if Amber's okay, you should be saying, are you okay? And the answer is, no! I am not okay. As a man, I have feelings. And to be dumped on for no reason for over a week because my parents were coming was not right. Because I didn't do anything. I offered to help. And when I offered to help, it's like my wife went from angel to demon. I just said, I'll help clean the fridge. No! You'll throw out something important. It's like, but honey, there's stuff that looks like it's, you know, rotting, and I don't think that juice coming out of the cabbage is normal. And she's like, don't you dare touch the fridge. I'm like, okay. I won't touch the fridge. I said, I'm just going to go upstairs and clean up the cat vomit. She's like, what are you going to use to clean it with? Soap and water? She's like, no, I'll do it. It's like, but... She's like, no, your parents might be staying in this room. I'll clean it. It's like, but I can do it. And she's like, no, you have to work soon. You have to play video games for a living, which is not a job. Just like, ouch. I'm like, all right, calm down. And she's like, did you tell me to be calm? It's like, not in the context you're thinking of. So yeah, when family is ever involved, Amber becomes Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde a little bit because she's scared. You guys forget that, you know, my family has never disowned her, but her family did. When we were first married, before right when we got engaged, she got disowned by her family, and it really messed her up. Like, they literally said the words, "I disown you," and they were dragging my wife out of her apartment. In fact, I've already forgiven her father, but, like, there were times where, like, I was really worried for her safety because, you know, her dad drank a lot. He's a totally different person now. I like him a lot better now. I was scared of him at one point. You know, I got a... I got a letter, like, threatening me if I married Amber, I was gonna be unalived. So, I mean, you know, that was an interesting first 10 years, and Amber cried all the time because she was literally disowned. So with my parents, she was very careful. She never told them her real feelings because she didn't want to have another parental figure tell her she was disowned. But at the same time, what happened was she developed a fear from my parents, and that fear turned to anger, and anger turned to sadness. And it's kind of the reason why we haven't really been close with my parents for very long, is because Amber doesn't want another family member to treat her the way she did. But then she ended up, like, kind of being, I wouldn't say mean, but she kept us away from my family for 15 years almost, I think. Which I was fine with, you know. Amber's doing a lot better now. She's a lot happier, and you can tell. But she was very scared, and I think that her reaction was completely justified. But, at the same time, I don't think her being mad at me over me trying to help her, like, you know, do chores and stuff was the right call. But, again, I could understand why she's stressed. I get it, you know. And I love Amber very much. And yesterday's joke did not do me any favors. So, but you'll see if she comes home today. I asked her to come home from her, like, second job before, like, it gets dark. Because I worry about her safety, as well as our car is not in the best shape. We need an oil change. We need to have the tires adjusted. And we don't have the money for that. So I don't want her driving, you know, all the way to Philadelphia or whatever to deliver food and packages to people. I don't feel comfortable with that, especially when I get a notice on my phone saying, hey, your car is in dangerous need of an oil change. That to me is kind of like, well, maybe we should get that fixed. And Amber's like, we don't have the money for it, but it's like, you don't really technically have the money to be driving around. So she makes me worry a lot. But, you know, everything just kind of came to a point. It's like, she told me I could vent. She says, if you don't vent, you're going to go crazy. So she says, I'm leaving. She says, as long as you don't do something, like, remotely stupid, because she'll watch this video back, then I'm in the clear. But, yeah, that's what's going on. And all these people, like, you know, always taking Amber's side. It's like, I'm a person. I went through a ringer. Even though I may not look like it, it's like, it's no fun being, like, somebody being mad at you when you didn't do anything. Like, if I did something, like, if I cleaned the house and I turned the carpet from white to blue, I think Amber would be right to be upset. You know, I ruined her carpet. But me just vacuuming, but not vacuuming well, is enough to turn her into, like, you know, mask off Mrs. Potato Head with, like, angry eyes or something like that. I don't think that's, you know, a good reaction, especially when I'm actually volunteering to help. But again, you know, what do I know? I'm just a husband. When it comes to cleaning and cooking and all this other stuff, you know, I'm just supposed to be the provider. So, if I get into when Amber is, you know, in the zone for doing stuff, I throw her off because she's not like me. She's a perfectionist. I'm not. Like, if I think I clean something well, doesn't mean I did clean it well. She went off on me, like, a few days ago. She was like, you worked as a custodian in college so that you could pay for tuition. It's like, yeah. And she's like, who taught you? It's like, what do you mean? It's like, this was good enough when I was in the community college. She says, but it's not good enough for your mom. It's not good enough for me. And I'm just like, okay. Well, I can do it again. And she's like, no. Nope, I will do it. And then she just scoots me out. It's kind of like, it reminds me of how my grandma used to be when I lived with my grandparents. Like, I would try to help my grandma. My grandma would never let me help with anything. I couldn't help with the laundry. I couldn't help with anything. You know, just sit there, eat your fruit. You know, you can help your grandpa with the trash, but, you know, the kitchen is my territory. Don't even. Because you'll mess it up. That's the mentality I had. That was my Portuguese grandma. And I feel like my grandma rubbed off on my wife a little bit, because my wife loved my Portuguese grandma a lot. She was one of the most important people to Amber, so when Grandma passed away this year, it was very hard for Amber. Because, you know, Portuguese Grandma was... She was something. You know? She was special. And she made Amber feel special, too. So, you know, my mom is strict, so my wife is scared of my mom. And like I told you, context, her family did something horrible to Amber. You should never, ever, regardless of what a child does, outside of maybe murdering somebody, you should never disown them. Like, that really can... Especially if you're a girl. If you're a boy and your father says, I disown you, you could probably, you know, ride that out and be okay. You might, you know, have some mental scarring and bury that deep, you know, inside of you. But if a father and a mother tell their daughter, their only daughter, that they never want to see you again and you're no longer part of this family, and literally use the words, I disown you, that really messes up girls. A lot. So I've been dealing with that baggage for our entire marriage. Yeah. But I love my wife very much. She just gets very stressed when it comes to family members because, like I said, there's context. She worries that what happened when she was 22 years old is going to happen again. And then she'll have no family. Just me. And I'm a stinky man. So... yeah, like no matter what your kids do, I would encourage parents, no matter what stupid stuff your kids do, outside of, like, you know, unaliving somebody. And I know people don't like it when YouTubers say that, but you have to remember that we get held to a higher standard if we say certain words. We literally can be deplatformed by YouTube. We can be suspended. We can have monetization disabled. There are certain things that YouTubers are not allowed to say. It's not like we're trying to walk on eggshells because of woke people or activists or anything like that. There's literally stipulations that we have to follow. And if we don't, we can get in serious trouble. There could be repercussions. Even for a shadow ban channel, if YouTube listens back to a video where I'm, you know, saying like KILL or something like that, we have to be very, very careful. Tiptoe, say things like Minecraft, yeet, on a live, that kind of stuff. Because, you know, there's always somebody at Google and YouTube watching that's ready to take a YouTuber off the air at any time. So that's why. It's not that we personally are trying to abide by any type of, like, modernness. It's literally, we have, like, a firearm held to our head. And, like, we have to use certain subtle ways of describing things without, like, facing any type of, like, work-related problems. Game over, people. Yeah, exactly. And also, you know, as a gamer, it works because you're doing gaming terms. But, yeah, I totally get Amber's thing. But that's also why she's very shy, too. Like, she's been very careful with me, except for literally a week before family comes, and then Amber, like, becomes, like, Mrs. Hyde. Or wait, yeah, Mrs. Hyde is the scary one. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Yeah. So she becomes Mrs. Hyde when it comes to cleaning. And then every wrong thing I've ever done comes out, like, because a wife remembers everything you've ever done. So even if she says she's forgiven you, her mind is like a computer, and she'll remember everything you did. Even if you don't remember it, she will. So this past week, she's bringing up stuff that happened like 10, 15 years ago, and I feel like, you know, I was working on that Ace Attorney video, which isn't going to air Friday now, because why would it? Why would I post a 6-hour video when I can work? So think about it that way, too. Do you know how late I was up last night? This is how annoyed I am at my parents. Amber told me that she wanted to have 2 Ace Attorney videos ready to go as completion videos, so we don't, you know, we can spend time with family, and the channel won't be in jeopardy, and it's a very smart idea. But who had to put that together? Me. And how long did it take to edit a 6-hour video? Longer than 6 hours. So I haven't had much sleep today. So I think I have a right to you know, just for my own sanity, to be like, hey, because my haters are always looking for, you know, last night, for instance, that stream, like, they're using that as fuel on Discord and stuff like that, saying, you know, I'm abusive to Amber, and Amber was saying all this stuff in the background, but Amber was cleaning the house and she was mad. So everything that I've done, every crime I've committed over the course of our entire marriage, which was 19 years, will come back up in that girl's memory because she's a frickin' computer. She's a supercomputer. Amber can retain information that I cannot. Now, maybe you could argue, well, that's because of your car accident, you hit your head. Maybe, or maybe Amber's just that smart. I don't know. That woman remembers everything. Which is crazy. I don't know how she does it, but I mean, wives are, you know, they're like that. Maybe wives are like supercomputers, or like, I don't know, or Terminators, I don't know. I have no idea. Oh, I'm dead. Well, that's my race. That's my race. We lost. We lost, we lost, we lost, we lost, we lost. Yay! We lost bad. That's it. That's a silver medal again, isn't it? Yep, that's a silver medal. Boo! Lost again. Oh, this 200 cc's, man. Oh, what the joke was? It was just like, Amber interpreted that I was gonna go and shaboink some girl at Dunkin' Donuts, but the joke was, it's okay to look. So, like, a man, like, was gonna go out and look at a younger woman, because men like to look. I had no intention whatsoever of cheating on my wife or whatever. It was just a joke. And, you know, she was already upset, and she's always, like, the internet is always grilling her, and she lives under a microscope. We got people stalking us, all kinds of stuff. So she went a little bit too much, and she saw some people's responses on Twitter, and she was making a list of the people who responded, and I'm like, yikes. So I was like, So it was just, it was a man joke that went a little bit too far, because remember, guys, we say stupid stuff all the time. It's part of being a man. And, you know, with cancel culture in general, they're very anti, like, man and anti-man personality. So, like, everyone else is allowed to be themselves, but men aren't allowed to be men. And men are, you know, perverted and crude and water cooler talk and, you know, dirty jokes, politically correct jokes, potty humor, whatever. You know, men are men. Men do dirty jobs, men work hard, men, you know, they have other ways of relaxing. Women find shopping relaxing, men find shopping stressful, right? So, in today's culture, everyone else is allowed to behave and act the way they are, but men are not allowed to be themselves. Men are not allowed to have an outlet, like, for sexy characters in video games and all this other stuff. Like, men are being oppressed, basically. So, anytime we do something as a man that's normal and natural, it gets the ire of the people who have control of the culture, which is the woke people, which they did. Case in point right now, they're trying to cancel VTubers that are in support of men's health. There was a VTuber who, I don't even know what happened, but there were several VTubers that made videos that were not pro, you know, current day feminists, not like classic feminists like my wife is, like current day. And all these VTubers are being canceled by, or trying to be canceled by these people who have echo chambers and stuff, all because they came out in support of men. They said nice things about their parents, their dad, their grandfathers, whatever. And that doesn't sit well with the activists, because activists are anti-men. Like, men are evil, men, the patriarchy, blah, 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 all this other stuff, right? So, like, men are scrutinized, and now that people are standing up for men, that group of people is attacking the people that stand up for men. Like, just normal men. Innocent, normal men. So, it's weird. But the funny thing is, because of this, Like, now, people are seeing how crazy we've been saying activists have been since, like, 2019. So they're losing more public support because now people who weren't even aware of what these crazy people are like, all these men influencers that weren't gamers, that aren't in the geek field of, like, anime and comic books, just people who are bodybuilders, dads, craft channels, all this other stuff, they're learning about cancel culture now, and there's more of these men, these big, manly guys, that are making and ratioing these people to the point where a lot of them are privating their Twitters and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool to see, you know, and it was because of VTubers that this happened, and now, like, all these men are becoming aware of what's going on. So it's like, you know, it's a short little skirmish, but it's crazy that the reason why I can't stand activists is they always find something to make themselves more radicalized. Like, they start small, and then they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And now, not only are they against VTubers, but now they're going against all men. Regardless of your, you know, if you're gay or straight, or if you're, you know, black, white, whatever. If you're a man, they hate you. And it's just crazy. You know, you have to realize that these people are crazy. They're not on the right side of history. They're just not. They're the opposite, right? And if you stand against them, then you're their enemy, which is weird, but I mean, it is what it is. So, like, some of these people were using all the stuff last night from that video out of context against me, reaffirming to them that I'm abusive. Right? So, it's been one of those days. I should run a marriage school? You think I'd be good at that? You think I could help young men prepare for marriage? That would be interesting. I don't think I could do that. If that's what somebody really thinks, that's very nice of you. I've never thought about that. I don't think I'm a good... I mean, I've been married 19 years, but I don't have kids. Our kids died, which is not something we like talking about. So I have to be careful about that. But, you know, I've given men advice for relationships and how to date and stuff over the years. As far as I can remember. They've told me it's kind of cheesy, but the people told me that my cheesy methods, some of them have gotten married. So I think that's a pretty good track record. So... Silver medals. Try again. I take good care of cats. Well, they say that you can't be an abusive person if animals like you. Like, animals can tell if you're a jerk and they don't want to be around you. Right now, I have a cat on my lap. Even though my voice is really loud and I'm losing, Link is very content just to sit here. What's up, Linky? Cats can tell if you have a gentle spirit or not. It's why they hiss at most activists. It's true, though. One of them walked inside of a cat cafe and filmed it on TikTok, and the cats all started hissing. It's funny. It's probably because they could tell they were evil. I don't know. Vindication. Yeah, but animals, they don't like people that are mean. They can tell. If you have like a rotten spirit, animals can tell. Because animals just want to hang out with someone that's chill. Because animals are very sensitive to noise. They're very sensitive to emotions and stuff like that. Your cat doesn't want to work overtime if you're a jerk. Because a cat is supposed to help calm somebody down who's stressed. But they're not going to really... They won't be around people. If you're in a yelling environment... I don't know if you guys knew this, but there was a study done years ago if you come from an abusive home with a lot of yelling and, like, you know, parents throwing stuff at other parents, like in an argument, cats will, like, hide in the corner, or they will hide under the table. They will not be out in the open. Where do the cats hang out when you see them in our videos? Where are they? They're out in the open, aren't they? They're sitting on chairs. They're sitting on top of furniture, which drives Amber crazy. They're on the couches, lounging about. They're in the bedroom. They're in the bathrooms, wherever. You know, they feel safe in our home because our home is not what the internet says it is. Like, I believe somebody tried to write a smear article about us a couple years ago, and I gave them a legal cease and desist when I found out about it. Like, I demanded they not post this because it was libel and it was all made up. But they were saying that we were abusing our cats. And they were going to write, like, this hit piece on us. This was back during the pandemic, because, like, people were going after me for being anti-vax or something. I don't remember. But I caught wind of it, thanks to my spies, and I found out about the article, and I gave them a legal cease and desist. It never published. But I basically, I guess I spooked them, because they did private their stuff, and they left, but I don't really care. I'm not going to cry home about it, you know? I'm not that nice when I confront you, I will tell you that. If I confront you, I'm not a nice guy. Because I don't need to be. But anyway. So they were saying all this stuff about our cats and taking our pictures out of context and all this nonsense. And especially because Shadow passed away. That was, like, really, you know, big story material for them. That it's because that Shadow was in a kennel that she died because we didn't feed her and all this other stuff. That's not true. The reason why Shadow was in a kennel is because, like, she was pooping everywhere. And our landlord, you know, demanded we put Shadow down, and we said no. And we kept Shadow alive as long as we could because we weren't ready to get rid of her. She was doing much better in the kennel. She would come upstairs and hang out. We'd feed her. We'd brush her fur. We were very close to Shadow. Shadow was a sweetheart. Amber and I, you know, couldn't just, like, take her to the vet as soon as she was sick. We prolonged her life as long as we could until Shadow was in too much pain. When Shadow was in too much pain, we took her to the vet, and, you know, she was put down. But that was almost like 6 months after we, you know, moved her down into her little kennel. And her kennel was clean, and she walked around. Amber called it the jail cell for fun, because, like, Shadow, whenever she used the bathroom, she would miss. She, you know, did number one all over the carpet downstairs. We had to get a carpet cleaner company come in because we almost got evicted. We almost got evicted for keeping Shadow. It was very hard for us. I cried when Shadow passed away. It was very hard. You know, so, but these people, you know, they're kind of like the TMZ of the internet. They're always looking for chinks in your armor to, you know, say horrible things about you. But just so you know, that kennel was, like, almost the size of, trying to think how big that thing was. That was a kennel for, like, a wolf or, like, a big German Shepherd. It was huge. It had it was like, we called it the kitty condo. So it had an upstairs and it had a downstairs. And the thing was $1,000 too. It was pretty expensive. The kennel is not in the house anymore because, you know, just looking at it brings bad memories. Because I feel bad that Shadow had to live in there, like, the last year of her life. Because, you know, she was causing a mess. Landlord was here yelling at us all the time. Shadow had a renal disease. So there's not much we could do, you know. It was heartbreaking. But I wasn't just gonna be like, okay, they told us Shadow's sick, so we're gonna kill her. It's like, no, I'm not putting her down until she'll tell us when it's time. And Shadow let us know, like, one night she couldn't stand up anymore, and that was it, you know. And I don't even think we put her down. I think she passed away on the way to the vet. I don't remember, but it was heartbreaking for us, you know. It's always hard to lose a pet. But to have people say that you murdered your pet, I mean, this is how sick these people are, you know? They're demented. You can't be friends with activists. They're not good people. Because they're not trying to do anything. And now we have some very interesting fuel of the fire, not for us personally, but, like, now there's actual documented reports of these cancel culture journalists that are just doing this for the money. So their own words are damning. Especially, like, they went after this one VTuber. I don't know her name. She's a fox. But apparently this one person is a very, very perverted individual. has grape fantasies about women and breeding and all this other stuff. Very disturbed individual. Very disturbed individual when it comes to children, all this other stuff. But anyway, there was an article that this person wrote during the time of Gamergate where they specifically said, you know, these places are bad, like these, you know, woke companies are bad, but they pay more. And so I'm going to keep writing for them, and if I have to change my personality to write for these places to earn more money, I'm going to do it. Even though they were being, you know, told by a friend of theirs in DMs, hey, this is not the right path to go, this is not the path of a game journalist, all this other stuff. You know, there's actual documentation of this person who started, like, the smear campaign against this VTuber that literally did it to make money. They work for Vice, they did all this stuff, they're a terrible human being, but they didn't do it because, you know, this so-and-so said a bad word as a VTuber, or they're, I don't like their politics, so I'm gonna, whatever. They did it because they got paid more from the company to do it. So, I mean, if I was that VTuber, I would sue the pants off this person because, like, the reason why they did this was they're a clout chaser. Like, it's not like they're trying to do some high moral thing. They're literally doing it because they're going to make money with their article. They're going to make money from the attention. You know, and I honestly believe that there are a lot of those people in the game journalist activism side that they do exactly that. And I think that this is the smoking gun now. So I think that literally we're going to see the end of the dangers of cancel culture this year because it's all smoke and mirrors. They don't care about the plight of all these people they say they represent. They care about money. 100%. And I'm honestly surprised that Asmongold and some of these bigger people haven't jumped on this yet because, I mean, literally everybody is sitting there with a smoking gun that can destroy these people once and for all. Because what drives them is not social awareness. What drives them is a paycheck. I mean, that's all you need right there. It might not be enough for people to be like, oh, yeah, whatever. But, I mean, that's literally, in my opinion, that's the smoking gun. That's what you need. That is, like, concrete evidence of how twisted and demented these people are. And that they're not actually social justice warriors at all. You know? I'm just saying, like, as someone who has integrity still and is a journalist, like, if I had a publication, I'd run the story right now. Like, I'd go right up to my editor and be like, dude, this will break the internet. Let's go. It's like, these people are sycophants. Let's get them. But I'm not in that game anymore, you know? But I would totes do it. In a heartbeat. Because, I mean, literally, these people are more than meets the eye, you know? You have 2 cats? That's cool. Yeah, I know Raspberry. I know what it is, but, like, that's not what it's been over the past couple years. That's not what it is at all. Game activism, all this other stuff is about silencing the opposition and labeling people you don't like. And the funny thing is, I'm a firm believer that people of different political views can be friends. Like, I grew up with that. Grew up with that in the 90s and the 2000s. I had, I still have friends, actually, that are Democrat and Republican. I'm in the middle. I'm known as a centrist or an independent or whatever. But I'm still friends with all those guys, you know. Because they're very common sense oriented and they don't let their political opinions get radicalized, basically. So there are people that actually can be friends if they're not part of the same, you know, I like this and you like that. Our differences is supposed to be what make us human. Like, we aren't all going to like the same anime. We're not all going to like the same games. We're not all going to like the same food. There's some people that like pineapple on pizza, you know? They're entitled to their choices, right? We came to a point in society because of social media that everything came to a boiling point where your differences were used to basically create cliques like it was high school again, and to ostracize people and demonize people that were not in the same opinion of you, whether it was politics or TV shows. People get canceled over comic book differences. I mean, it's out of control, right? But the problem is, I really believe that this group is not just a political difference than me. I don't even see that, because there are people in our audience right now who are very chill Democrats and liberals. You know, they come here, they watch us, they have no problem. We even have supporters who are both libertarian and Democrat and Republican and whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't demonize people for their political opinion. I never have. I don't bring it up very much, but I'm just saying, like, we should all be able to get along. That's what kids from Generation X and Generation Next and whatever we were taught in school is it's important to be able to get along with people that share a different opinion than you and whatever, because division is not a good thing. Division breaks up unity. It breaks up all kinds of stuff. It makes it very difficult to work with people you don't like. And then the thing is, you're going to keep finding things about the person you don't like. They might like a different anime than you, and, you know, then you find out, oh, it's because this person believes this. This is why they don't like this anime. And you're just going to keep digging until you find stuff. And I promise you, if you keep digging on every individual that you come across, you're going to find things that you don't like about them. That's just human, you know? But we've gotten to such a volatile point where it's getting dangerous, and that's why, you know, the woke cult needs to go away. It needs to... That philosophy, in my eyes, is no different than 1930s Germany. They do the same thing. They label people, they contact employers, they do violence against you, they do criminal actions against you, they make it so you can't work again by, you know, putting a label on you and saying, hey, this person committed this, like, cardinal social media crime. Never work with this person because blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you really look at it, these activists and these woke people are literally taking a page from Mein Kampf. And I'm not even apologizing for it because it's true. The rules are a little different, but the outcome is pretty much the same, except for, you know, nobody's got unalived yet that we know of. But they want a whole group of people, like all conservatives, all Christians, all these other people, they want them gone. And what philosophy has that? Not a philosophy of tolerance, I'll tell you that. I'm just saying. It's the same ideals, it's just different branding. And you will never change my mind. Because I've been, like, literally... I've been swatted twice. I've had 400 cyber attacks against my company. I've had people try to steal money from us. I've had all kinds of stuff under the banner of woke. Because I'm anti-woke. So you can't tell me that I'm just imagining things. In my eyes, they are literally trying to bring back the Nazi Party. They are. It's just a different flag, and it's a little bit different ideology, but it's the same type of branding. I'm 100% right. And that's why in 2025 it needs to go away. Because someone is going to get unalived because of it. There's going to be somebody innocent just because their political differences that's going to get, like, yeeted at a convention, or somebody's going to go to their house after being doxxed. There's going to be something dramatic that's going to happen if this does not stop. And as someone who's been swatted twice, it almost happened to me over comic books and over a tweet. So, you know, it has to stop. Whether it's, you know, some type of legal ramifications. I'm a firm believer that people do not stop doing something until they realize there are ramifications for it. I really believe this VTuber should sue Vice. And not... I wouldn't have given them a warning. I just would have sued them. Because Vice is like hanging on a thread anyway. They survived bankruptcy twice. They can't survive it a third time. So I would put the final nail in Vice's coffin and sue them into oblivion because they are guilty of a ton of stuff. You know, I don't know why this VTuber is not doing it, because I wouldn't hesitate. If Vice had a cancel campaign after me, I would sue them into the dirt. I would make sure that every single one of those people lost their job, as well as they're located in New York City. That person who's made threats against women that works at Vice, even jokingly, I would get NYPD up on them. Like, for sexual harassment and all kinds of stuff. Whether they're protected class or not, you know? I wouldn't mess around. So I don't know why these VTubers play nice. I'm from New York. I don't play nice. You know, if it was me, that's what I would do. So that's what you have to do, because when there are consequences, like, look at this. Supposedly, 5 people, because of facing legal heat based on what they did to Amber and I, which were criminal. This is just a rumor. There's no concrete evidence to suggest it, mind you. But our enemies are saying that 5 people self-deleted because of us, because of the police investigation and all this other stuff. And I don't care. So, but because of that, a lot of the heat on us has kind of died down a little bit. So, you know, making a police report and, you know, actually making these, like, basement dwellers face the light, you know, face justice, it creates less copycats. It creates less problems. Because when there are consequences for your actions, actual legal and unlawful stuff, you find that a lot of people stop jumping on the bandwagon and doing what monkey see, monkey do does. You'll have more copycats if there's no consequences. That's the problem with the internet, right? I've made sure that there's consequences. We have a police case open that documents all the DDoSing, the swatting, the convention threats, all that stuff. And we are actively hunting these people. And we always will until we catch them. Whether it's times of peace or not, as long as my YouTube career is going on, I will always be hunting these people down. Working with law enforcement, being as cooperative as I can, providing whatever information they need until we catch these SOBs, basically. You know? That's the only way that you can handle this. So, what makes me angry is that these VTubers are being so lenient. It's like, if you have all this evidence, just go for the juggler. It's like, why? Never give your enemies an out. You know? I wouldn't. Because in a fight, your opponent is not going to go easy on you. So why would you go easy on your opponent? That's all I'm saying. You know? But I'm right in my assessment that if there's actual consequences, legal and damaging consequences for cancel culture, jail time, prison, whatever, lawsuits, you'll have less copycats because people are only doing it because they think they can get away with it because it's the internet. If you have a way of stopping these people in their tracks, then they won't have a banner anymore to fly. You'll just be like any other, like, weird troll group online. What makes them dangerous is because they have, like, their own mantra, like their own manifesto. They're weirdos, right? And so many flock to them because they believe that they have the moral high ground when they don't, because they actually hurt people. No one who has a moral high ground hurts anybody. That's not how morality works. Morality means you're nice to people and, you know, you don't go out and you try to destroy their livelihood. There are people that I don't like on YouTube, like, full stop. I've never once done anything to interfere with their ability to make money. Ever. I've had beef with YouTubers. I've never contacted their sponsors and say, hey, did you know so-and-so said this about my wife when they were a teenager? You might want to think about, you know, employing this person. I never done that. I could fight fire with fire, but I don't believe in that. You know? Because I'm a better person than my enemies are. My enemies have, like, tried for years to get every sponsorship, our t-shirts, everything taken away from us over comic books. And when that didn't work, then they tried to do something very dangerous against us. So, you know, it just shows that they're not good people, and I don't understand how they have people thinking that they're good people. That's the scary thing. But that's what happens with a cult, is people think, oh, you know, these people are right because you have wrong think. It's like, but I actually have the moral authority. I'm better than them in every sense of the way. But they're so far lost that they can't even see the forest before the trees. That's true. Yeah. But I mean, that's what we deal with behind the scenes all the time. We got people that praise the date where our kid passed away, our cats have died, financial problems. It feels like we're being cursed all the time, personally. Which Christians don't like when we talk about that, because they're like, well, you know, maybe you did something to upset God or something. It's like, maybe, I don't know. I am a gamer. I mean, maybe that does upset the big man upstairs, but I've always used my platform to be as wholesome as possible until things like got really dangerous. And then, of course, I had to speak out against it because, I mean, it involved our safety. It involved our business. I didn't want to, but, you know, I can't just hide away forever and just act like, oh, everything's peachy keen when, you know, things weren't. You know what I mean? I think we got gold somehow. I think I locked in. I don't really know how I did that. Wait, did I lock in? Did I win or did I lose again? 2 first place finishes, 2nd and 3rd. What does that give us overall? Is that gold? No way is that gold. Oh, wow! There you go. Who said I couldn't do 200 cc's? Well, technically I can't. Technically I can't do 200 cc's because that took 2 hours! 2 hours for one freaking gold trophy! Oh my gosh! Ah! That's messed up. I'm sorry I'm bad at Mario Kart. I'm sorry. Man. 2 hours. Wait, was it really 2 hours? Did we have music run for an hour? Whatever. I'm gonna say it was 2 hours. Messed up. But anyway. That's just the reality of the world right now, so... I don't even know anything about VTubing. Like, I think that VTubers appeal to a certain demographic of people, and I don't want to say anything for or against it. I believe they deserve to exist in the space. Just like I believe M-rated games that have very voluptuous women, or used to, they deserve their own place in the game industry, so... I'm not going to make a soapbox on my own moral preferences or whatever. So I don't really watch VTubers because a lot of them, I don't think my wife would be comfortable with me watching them based on how they dress. But I believe that VTubers should be allowed to do what they want. Obviously, they feel self-conscious because they don't want to appear on camera, and they found another way of making money. That just makes them smart. I wish I would have thought of that. But, I mean, you know, when we started YouTube, there really wasn't any of that. So... But I know there are people that like watching YouTubers. More power to you. That doesn't, you know... To each their own. So I don't know anything about the VTuber community, but I don't like cancel culture after being someone who's survived and beaten cancel culture, and fought back against it. I hope that the people who are being impacted by these weirdos are able to get justice too. I just wish that they wouldn't be so nice about it. You know, I would go in, you know, using every resource at my ability to crush my enemies. I don't know why they're giving them an olive branch, because they wouldn't do the same thing. So that's my stance on that. But anyway, we got a gold medal. Let's try again. Also, guys, it's been a while, but maybe we'll push the... Do we have anybody to push the shorts? Nope, that's not it. That's not the shorts. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Alright, if I lose this race, I'll do something. So I'm kind of getting used to 200 cc's, but not really. Today I have a very difficult day ahead of me because I'll be playing hard mode in both games. Like, I'm playing hard mode right now in Mario Kart, and then it's hard mode for tennis. So I don't really have a stress-free day in terms of work environment. And Amber emptied my bank account in order to prepare for my parents. And when when my parents... Both of them told me that they weren't coming. Amber's face turned white, like pale, because she just emptied out our bank account to pay for all these meals and stuff because we haven't been paid by YouTube yet. And now I'm going to have to eat all this food, which my wife is a great cook, but you have to remember, my wife was cooking for 4 people. It's kind of like what happened at Thanksgiving again when her dad, you know, flaked on us and said he couldn't come out for reasons. And we paid for a $600 plane ticket for him that we couldn't get reimbursed. So all this food that Amber made for Thanksgiving, guess who ended up eating it all? I did. And I had a tummy ache for quite a while, but I wasn't going to let all that food go to waste because my wife is an amazing cook. But now, my wife bought food to make homemade Chinese food for 4 people, and there's only 2 of us. And my wife barely eats anything because women don't eat a lot of food. But I can't eat that much food because I'm just one man. If there was another guy here, like my dad or whatever, yeah, but that means, unfortunately, some of the food is going to go to waste because there's no way to eat it. But, you know, Amber doesn't like it when food goes to waste, so that means I might have a sick day this week because I'm probably going to end up gorging myself, to, you know, to protect Amber's feelings or something. Not looking forward to that. Not looking forward to that at all. Woohoo! Yeah, exactly. Women eat food. Exactly. But men eat more food because men burn calories different. They have, like, women put fat different places than men put it. But if it makes you feel better, Miss Deanna, men don't live as long as women. It's science. Men die young. Most married men die young. Most providers die young. Only the deadbeats live a long time. No offense to deadbeats, but the good men always die off quicker because they work a lot. They put all their energy in taking care of their family and their loved ones, and it's a lot of stress. And the hardest thing for being a man with men's health is men never tell women how they're doing. Like, men never tell their wives when they're in trouble, whether it's finances or health or whatever. Men always keep secrets because they never want people to perceive them as doing bad. They always push themselves. I'm just like that too. Although the difference is, my wife, I don't have a poker face, so my wife is always able to read what I'm doing, whether I want her to or not. Like, she looks at my face, and I don't have the prettiest face, I know. But she comes, when I'm live streaming, she's like, you have a long face. It's like, I was born this way. And she's like, no, you look tireder than usual. How many hours did you sleep? I said 4. And she's like, oh, okay. She's like, yeah, you need to go to bed. I'm going to stream. So she can tell when things are off that I don't even need to divulge a lot about emotions and whatever, right? And she can just look at me and be like, there's something off about you. And it could be because, like, we have, like, this telekinesis because we've been married so long. Like, she can just tell when something's off. When I've had a bad day, apparently I have it on, like, my face. And she just can tell what's up. It's kind of cool, but also a little freaky, not gonna lie. Whereas when my wife is upset, even though we've been married essentially 19 years this June, right? I can never tell when Amber's upset because she always looks like she's smiling. And, like, I have not been able to be like be able to tell, like, the hide the pain herald thing. That's kind of what Amber's like. Amber's really good with poker faces. The only way I know Amber if she's upset is if I ask her, how was your day? And then I find out I did something wrong. So, and I don't know how to help men with that. Like, I don't know how to help other married men be like, hey, this is how we are able to know when our wives are about to go, you know, DEFCON, whatever. We can't tell. We're oblivious, which stinks. So, if I would know when Amber's about to go boom, I wouldn't tease her very much. But I can never tell when she's about to go boom. There's no warning. She just goes boom. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. we used to joke about, like, mood rings or something in the 80s. I don't know if mood rings ever worked anyway. There was a market for them, but I don't think they ever worked. Women are fascinating creatures, but they're also terrifying. It's true. When you live with a woman as long as I have, it's very unique. But also, you know, it's no picnic for Amber to live with me either. I do things that drive her nuts. I don't pick up my socks all the time. I forget to pick up my socks, or I forget to put my plate in the dishwasher. I'm no saint. We do different things. I mean, the scariest word in the English language when you are, when you're married is asking your wife, "What did I do now?" And then she gives you a laundry list of what you've done. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. All right, we're gonna let Skeletor do his thing. Thank you. We're back up to 250 members now, I think. We're I think we're 50 members away from getting back to 300. Let me see. I can check. We're going to let Skeletor go through his rounds. He's working today. Yeah, thank you to... thank you to Just22, who gave us now... The channel is back up to 255 members. So that means we're 50 members short of 300. Which I think we can do. We have the rest of the month to do it, so I think we can get back up to 300. Everybody give it up for Just22. That was a $10 gifted membership sacrifice that they just did. Really appreciate you, buddy. I don't know. I think it would be fun for me to have some type of like marriage seminar or something. I think I'd be pretty good at it. I think like men need to be encouraged to marry their girls. I think that's an important thing, as well as like to how to treat women and stuff like that. Like, I think that would be good, because men need encouragement, and men need to be like, hey, you know, don't be afraid of looking for a partner, because even if it's the 2020s, you can find a great woman, and women can find a great man, you know? You just have to look at the right places. And, I mean, thanks to social media, you can easily... you can tell if that person's not on the up and up if you know, follow them on social media. So, I mean, you do have... Back in the day, it was kind of hard to get the readout on somebody based on, you know, meeting them in public, because in dating life, you act a certain way when you date, right? And nowadays, I mean, everybody, they're, like, very honest on their social media. You want to know what social media reminds me of? It's kind of like having a therapist. And then everybody, when you make a post, you can have all these different people jump on your post and, like... console you or say, hey, you know, I'm feeling the same, and you kind of feel better. It's like social media sometimes is like a group therapy session, a little bit. I mean, I kind of use my YouTube channel for that sometimes. Like, sometimes I need to vent, because there's a lot of crap that happens to me all the time, and if a man keeps things bottled up too long, there's one or two things that can happen. One, the man can get super stressed and crash out, for one, over, like, just being set off from something really small. Two, the stress can build and build and build and build, and it can cause, like, medical concerns. Like, you could have high blood pressure, you could have a heart attack, you could have, like, problems with your kidneys. There's all kinds of stuff that stress is very bad for you. You have to find ways of releasing stress. That's why hobbies are good. It's good for men to let out a lot of their built-up emotions, because the longer they keep their emotions built in, it's not good for them, like, health-wise. Because women, you know, deal with their emotions a lot better than men do. And they do. They have, like, a social circle. Like, my wife, she has a best friend that she calls a lot, and she vents about me. And, you know, and the best friend vents about her husband, you know? Women have an outlet for that. Guys, we don't go on fishing trips and talk about our wives to that extent. There's wife jokes, and a lot of men use jokes as deflection or as kind of like humor as a way of healing, which, you know, in the 2020s, people tried to take away man jokes and things like that. Like they took away men's identity and men's tribal nature and things like that. You know, shaming men. This type of man is toxic. This type of man is okay. You know, that kind of stuff. Like, they put men into groups, or groups that they deem okay, because one type of man is easier to control than another type of man. You can't control an alpha. You can control a beta. You can control someone who's a follower, but, you know, the men who are leaders and stuff like that, you are going to butt heads with them, because they're natural leaders. They're better at leadership. All that stuff, you know? It's built into their DNA. So there is going to be, like, a clash with what society says is okay and what men know is okay. That kind of stuff. I have to do this race again, don't I? Yeah, we lost. Gotta do it again. Drop out, try again. But my wifey is a very funny person. Like, when my dad... I will tell you Amber's reaction because it was cute. So, Amber knew that she wasn't good to me the past week, right? So when my dad, in his hoarse voice because of his bronchitis or whatever, from the smoke, being the firefighter guy, when he told us on the phone that he had to reschedule and he wasn't coming up this week, Amber looked at me and immediately her hands went to her nose and her eyes got really wide and she just said under her breath to me, she was like, "I'm so sorry." And I'm just here. My eyes started to twitch when my dad told me he wasn't coming up. And this was before he told us he was in the hospital. So my eye, like all the stress that I've been under, like my right eye started twitching uncontrollably. That's how much stress I had been holding in from this whole, my parents are coming to visit, and my wife is like getting all up in my grill. Like my right eye just started to like twitch, like as soon as my dad said, you know, we're not coming up. And Amber, like, had this kind of, like, both, like, shock and then, like, immediate, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But my eye just started going, like, because I had all this tension, right? I had all this tension built up and no way to release it. So my eye just started going, because, I mean, it's going to go somewhere, right? I used to, when I worked in the private sector, and I worked in a restaurant, I'll tell you how I used to vent, how I used to deal with stress in the food industry. So my mom told me when she was working in the 70s and 80s, like as a restaurant person, that when she would get really mad from a customer and had built up aggression, she would go into the freezer and she would scream. So... working as wait staff and in the kitchen and stuff of a restaurant, a couple restaurants outside of Chicago, when I had a really unruly customer at that restaurant outside of Chicago, in that time period, you could very quietly hear somebody in the freezer going, "Ah!" in the back. And then I'd come back out and I'd be like, "Your order is ready," or something. You know, I'd be totally professional, but like I had to release all that anger. Sometimes I would go to my car if the freezer was unavailable, and I would like, you know, just start crashing out in my car, beating up the steering wheel and just like, you know, whatever. And then I'd be fine and I go back in and I do the food industry thing. Because, you know, I was trying to wait my way to college and things like that. I was working in the food industry. But I wasn't working at a fast food place. I was working at a restaurant. So I was both a waiter and I worked in the kitchen. I handled, like, all the washing of the dishes, setting the tables, taking the restaurant apart, occasionally working the tables if I had to. Sometimes I would do the register. But mostly I was in the kitchen. I handled a lot of the washing of the dishes, helping out the chef, that kind of stuff. But nothing more than just like chopping vegetables or whatever. I wasn't, you know, really doing a lot with stuff. But I would need to release tension. I don't get a lot of anger, like, being married. So it's like, it takes a while for me to get really mad at Amber. Because I understand her situation, and I'm not holding it against her because I understand. But, like, there are days when, like, I feel like I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm still wrong in her eyes, and I don't like that. But I think that's just how marriage works in general between a girl and a guy. I think that's normal. There were whole sitcoms about that in the 80s and 90s. You know, that was just kind of normal couple behavior. So I don't think it's a bad thing per se. Oops. I still lost. Well, I can't really play video games to release stress and tension because some of my stress and tension comes from playing games and being a YouTuber. So my outlet for chilling out is I watch anime. Like, I really think that Amber doesn't have a hobby. And this is why I always tell people it's important for you to get a hobby. Why? Because then you have an outlet for your stress, as well as you have something fun to look forward to that's not your job or not related to your job. You could argue, well, anime is related to your job. You talk about anime. Sometimes I talk about anime, yeah. But for the most part, I don't see anime as a part of our business. It kind of is, but not really. Because I don't have that same mentality. Like, I talk about it during live streams every once in a while, so yeah, that show becomes a write-off or whatever. But I don't dedicate an entire channel to doing episode reviews and character deep dives and all this other stuff. I tell you my first impressions of the show, what I thought about it, what I thought about this episode, things like that. But I don't dive into, like, full episodic coverage. So in that sense, in my mind, it's still a hobby. It's still something that I look forward to. And there's a lot of shows I'm watching right now that I really enjoy watching. I know some YouTubers that like to build Legos. That they're gamers and streamers, and how they relieve tension, both girl and guys, is they have a hobby of Legos. Now me, I can't build worth crap. So doing Legos is not something very relaxing for me. Lego games is one thing because they do all the building for you. But the tiny little pieces and putting them together and following the directions, it's like, ah! It makes me more angry than it does chill. You know what I mean? So that doesn't work. But I think that my wife, in general, if she could find a hobby that is her own, then I think that she can healthily deal with a lot of the frustration that she has. And, you know, it won't just be relied on the fact that, oh, you know, family's not coming to see me, or I don't have to go see family. Because she's gotten a lot better. Like, you remember how Amber said she hated Christmas because of not just the commercialism, but she didn't like traveling to see family? Like, Amber's gotten a lot better. Like, over, I would say, the last 4 years, like, ever since the pandemic, she's gotten a lot better with not hating Christmas anymore. And Christmas is my favorite holiday, so that was kind of a clash for us. Like, as a couple, we're kind of like, you know, how can anybody hate Christmas? And she's like, well, I don't like this about Christmas, and I don't like that, and I don't like this. And it's like, I get it, but I never understood. So in my eyes, she was always kind of a Scrooge, because for me, Christmas is the best time of the year. It's the only time of the year where people aren't acting like jerk faces to one another. You know, it's the only time of year where I actually see the good of humanity shine through the darkness. So I love Christmas. I love Christmas not only for its message, which is, you know, for a lot of people, the birth of Jesus, but also what it does for the human condition, what it does for your soul, what it does for your spirit. Like, that kind of stuff, it's good for my soul to see other people not being tools to one another, like, 24/7, and actually caring about their fellow man and stuff. Because there's something about the magic of Christmas that brings everybody together. And I've seen that my entire life. But with Amber, you know, she just didn't like Christmas, and now she's starting to understand, you know. I think this year she said she's going to work at a soup kitchen, and I think that would be good if she did that. Like, during Thanksgiving and Christmas, if she worked at a soup kitchen for a little bit. I think that she would start to see more of the spirit of Christmas and things like that, like I did. Because I used to work in soup kitchens, and I used to work at the Salvation Army. I used to help people at Christmas time. I donated toys to Tots. I did all kinds of stuff. I wanted to be able to make everyone else have a great Christmas just like me, because I love Christmas. I loved giving gifts to family. Everything about Christmas I loved, right? Second again. Darn. So I want my wife to somehow find the joy of Christmas in her heart as well, because I think that if she can keep the joy of Christmas in her heart, then when things get hard, she can remember, you know, what Christmas is about and what it means for the human condition and things like that. Like I did. Because I didn't used to like Christmas until, like, I started doing stuff. Like, I started working in the community and things. Working with the Salvation Army. Helping with, like, Toys for Tots. Helping with the bell ringer stuff. All kinds of things. I helped with... I worked with a company that was connected to the Salvation Army that distributed food and meals at Christmas time to people who were homeless and things like that. And just to see people's eyes light up over basic necessities like socks and food and, you know, things like that. It was, I don't know, it's a feeling that I can't replace, and I'll never forget it, you know? And that, I think that's part of the reason, too, why I see Christmas as such an important time. It would be great if every holiday that people could be nice to each other like that and just, like, you know... And there were times, like, even in war, where people would literally take the day off for Christmas. You know, World War II and World War I were especially famous for doing that. The War of 1812, all that kind of stuff. Like, different wars. Whenever it was Christmas time, it was almost like a 24-hour ceasefire. And you could say, well, that's kind of crazy, but that's how it was, especially in Western countries. It happened during World War I, happened during World War II. And, you know, it was just something about it. Because a lot of these countries that were fighting against each other, yeah, some of them had, like, really horrible doctrines and ideologies and stuff. We're not even going to challenge that. But at the same time, they were also people that were forced to serve for their countries. You know, not every military service is volunteer. Our country's volunteer, but not every country's volunteer, especially in times of war. You're drafted, you have no choice. So, you know, when all these other people around the world celebrate the same holiday as you do, and, you know, you're not killing each other for one day, it's kind of nice, you know? But they didn't take a ceasefire during Easter or Thanksgiving or anything like that. It was only Christmas. Because there's something about Christmas. And that's why there's a war on Christmas, is because evil people do not like Christmas. They just don't. There's something about it that just, like, really turns their heart and makes them more grumpy and evil than they normally are. A lot of that has to do with evil entities, but I'm not going to get too far into that as a spiritual person myself. But when you are able to witness what Christmas is all about and stuff like that, you really change as a person. So my hope is, as Amber calms down a little bit, that she starts to understand why I love Christmas as much as I do. And even when, you know, we are not able to afford Christmas, or when I was sick this year, that was really hard for me because, like I said, Christmas is my favorite time of year, and I was bedridden for 2 days. That was really hard for me. I felt terrible. Amber, what I failed to tell you guys is Amber made a beautiful Christmas meal that I couldn't eat. I couldn't hold food down for 3 days. We almost had to go to the hospital because I had a fever of 102. I couldn't keep any food down. I was, after that Batman stream on, what was it? On Arkham Origins or whatever, on not New Year's Eve, sorry, on Christmas Eve. As soon as the Batman stream ended, I was upstairs, like, hugging the porcelain throne. And it was to the point where, like, I was coughing so much that I was having breathing problems. Like, I could barely breathe. I ended up blacking out, and Amber, like, put ice on me and put me into bed, and she maintained my fever all night, but she had cooked a wonderful meal that basically had to be thrown out. And then she cooked another meal when I got better. But she was pretty mad that she had to throw the food out. That was the hardest Christmas for me because I didn't get to participate. I got to hang out with you guys on Christmas Eve, and then I was, like, you know, I was messed up. And our channel suffered too. Because Christmas is the biggest day that we make an income. I couldn't work for Christmas for the first time in probably 15 years. And we suffered majorly because of it. There was no Christmas with the Kwings. There was no live streams. There was nothing. You know? And that, the days, I've said before, when the channel doesn't do anything, like, we earn $0. So the channel that day earned 0. And that really impacted us for the remainder of December, that one day. Because there was nothing happening. I think Amber posted shorts, but I don't remember. Like, I was bedridden, so... it's possible that she uploaded shorts that I already pre-made. I think we had pre-made shorts. I don't remember. But it was bad. I don't even remember when we got to doing Christmas. I think we ended up filming on the 26th or the 27th, but it took me a few days to edit it because I was just so out of it. And I don't normally get that sick either. I usually have a pretty good immune system, so that was a rough year. I'm hoping this Christmas is better. Amber says she wants to work with Meals on Wheels this Christmas, so I hope she does. Because the one thing that I want Amber to get is I think that she's very good in the food industry. Like, I don't think a driving job is very safe, like, if I'm being completely honest. Every time she's out on the road, it bothers me because, like, we need an oil change. We need to have the tires aligned. And she's driving all over the place. It's not just in our area. She literally goes up to Philadelphia, which is a ways away, right? She goes all over the place where she thinks she can make money. But she's not in a good place, like, safe-wise. I have to try again. So, I would like her to end up working with cooking jobs, where she could work, like, in the morning until the evening, and then, you know, it'd be better for her because she's such a good cook. And there's a position at Meals on Wheels where they're looking for somebody to help in the kitchen, and Amber doesn't have the confidence to do that job, even though she went to culinary. And I'm trying to encourage her to take up that position because I think she'd be great at it, but she thinks that she can't order around people in the kitchen. I think she can because she orders me around. Oh, you get stressed out decorating the yard for Christmas? Okay. I don't decorate my yard, so I can't really relate to that. I wish I could relate to that, but I can't. I have a putting up lights story. The reason why I don't... Remember how I told you guys I have a problem with electricity? Whenever I plug something in, I get shocked. Okay, the reason why I hate Christmas lights, and I really think I could have died, and my dad was freaked out over this. It was the Christmas of 2002 outside of Rockford, Illinois, where we lived. And we had just finished decorating the roof with Christmas tree lights. Oh yes, this is one of those stories. Now, my roof is relatively small, but there was a problem with the extension cord, and since I was younger than my dad was like, hey son, scoot up there and plug that in for me, because, you know, my back isn't the best. It's like, sure, Dad. Now again, I have some type of weird problem in my blood that has a lot of iron, so when I come in contact with electricity, there's literally sparks when I plug things in. There was no problem with the lights that we know of. And I plugged in the lights that were on top of the roof. And I went flying. You could hear the spark on the first floor. And I still don't know what happened, but obviously I survived. But I didn't have fun. In fact, I was all jittery after getting shocked. And I never put up Christmas tree lights again. Because whenever I plug in the Christmas tree, I get shocked. Whenever I plug in a game system, I get shocked. I leave the things plugged in because I don't want to get shocked. Amber never gets shocked. I always get shocked. Whether it's carpet, on wood, it doesn't matter. So, I will never be one of those people that ever puts up Christmas tree lights. The only type of Christmas tree lights that I will put outside are net ones, and Amber will have to plug it in. I'm never doing extension cords, and I still haven't. I told Amber I'm not doing this. And she's like, why? It's like, I have a bad history with Christmas tree lights. I'm not doing it. You have to take me at my word. And she's like, what possibly happened? She's like, oh, that thing at Christmas before we dated. She's like, that's silly that you're still holding a grudge. It's like, no, it's not. She says, you're just being superstitious. It's like, no, I'm not. Everything I plug in always shocks me. So I'm not doing it. You can call me superstitious, but every single time. Last night, for the mystery stream, for the, what do you call it? Amber was mad at me over the whole, like, you know, Russian girl joke, right? She was still down here when I plugged in the Steam Deck. And the Steam Deck is in a surge protector. I plugged it in. Amber was going upstairs and saying she was mad at me, but she was still going to sleep. I plugged in the Steam Deck. There was a loud pop. And the lights flashed down here. I got jolted. And my hand got, like, pushed back because of the pop. So I don't know what it is with me and electricity, but I really feel that someday electricity is going to kill me. I really think that electricity has it out for me. And again, bear in mind, this is a surge protector. Its whole job is to prevent surges. And I plugged in the Steam Deck, and it wasn't even on yet. I just plugged in the metal part, and pop! So... yeah, I don't know. It always happens. The days that I dread the most is plugging in game systems that are not plugged in. The Wii U is always plugged in. The Switch is always plugged in. The Xbox is plugged in. The PS5 is plugged in. The PS3 is not plugged in. I get shocked. The Wii is not plugged in. I get shocked. The Super Nintendo is not plugged in. I get shocked. You sensing a theme here? Whenever I ask Amber to plug it in, she never gets shocked. I always get shocked. Why is that? I don't believe the nonsense is because I have too much iron in my blood. I don't believe that. There's something else. There's something at play here. It's like Final Destination is like watching me or something. It's freaky, okay? It's not just electricity either. It's car batteries. I had my car break down once and I was trying to jump it. And I was trying to help like some like stranded motorists. And I got jolted in the snow. I'm lucky I was wearing my sneakers. I wasn't wearing my steel-toe boots. If I wore my steel-toe boots, I'd probably look like that guy that Joker used the joy buzzer on in the Batman movie. So I've made it like a life mission to avoid any type of electricity whatsoever because I don't know. There's something seriously wrong with it. And you can make fun of me all you want. I think I'm being super smart. Amber never gets shocked. I always get shocked. She literally has a cord get wet, and she plugs it in, and she never gets zapped. I always get zapped. And I don't even put my cords near water. Like, all the time. You know, I'm biting my nails. Amber's in the kitchen doing stuff. Right? We don't have a TV in the kitchen, so she uses her cell phone. She watches Lois and Clark, or The Nanny, or, I don't know, whatever. Right? But right next to the sink is her cell phone, and I can see the puddles. I see the puddles with where the phone is, and I'm like, Amber, that's a hazard. And she's like, it's fine. It's like, no, it's not fine. You're gonna get zapped. She's like, it's never happened before. It's like you're tempting fate because one of these days you're gonna get a nasty jolt, and it's not even gonna be like the type of jolts I get. It'll be like worse because you're literally being very irresponsible with electricity. Like it's like just get like one of those cell phone stand thingies. Like do that. All right, isn't this supposed to prevent me from falling? It's not doing a very good job. This thing. Wow, I still lost. Oh my gosh, I still lost badly. Might ask a Ghostbuster why I get zapped? You think it's ghosts? You think ghosts are trolling me? That's messed up. I wouldn't put it past them. Probably I've been cursed. I don't know. I don't know. But I make it a mission in life not to plug in electricity. I will only mess with electricity if the surge protector is off. Amber usually plugs in the GameCube. She's not here. Guess who has to plug in the GameCube tonight? Me. GameCube's not hooked up right now. I gotta do that crap. I don't want to do it. I could hire a neighbor kid to come in here and plug it in. Be like, here's $5, plug this in. Why? Why can't you do it? Reasons. Just plug it in. You want that $5 or not? You'll buy a carton of eggs. Your mom will be happy. Plug it in. Do as I say. Are you afraid of the electricity, sir? No. Maybe. You would be too if you'd be zapped as many times as I have. If this was a comic book, I would have electricity power by now. Do I have electricity power? No. Stupid. Seriously, if it was a comic book, I would have electricity power by now. I would, because that would be my origin. Flash got struck by lightning, he got super speed. I've been zapped more times than I can count. And I've never gotten superpowers. So I feel upset. I'm just saying. So there's a reason I haven't started the GameCube stream yet, is because you'll know. If I sound a little annoyed at the beginning of the stream, it's because I got shocked. It'd be fine if it's just like a little pop, but it's never a little pop. It's always like a loud pop! Like a crackle sound or whatever. Like, if any of you have ever been like really shocked, then you know what I'm talking about. There's like this kind of like, almost like breaking the sound barrier pop. And it's very painful. It's enough to make your hand jolt back. Messed up. Lost again. I would be the slowest speedster? Nuh-uh, because speedsters have, like, healing factors, so my neuropathy would be healed in an instant. Alright, this cart's not working out. This is not working out for 200 cc's. You think I generate some type of field? It's why I'm getting shocked? Interesting. So what you're saying is I do have superpowers. What the heck is that? Please tell me this is good. Whatever. I mean, what else do we have to lose? Was I sweating when I plugged stuff in? No. Nope. Wasn't sweating when I plug anything in. Rubber gloves? I could try that. I would be open to try that. I have rubber sneakers on when I plug things in. I'm not wearing, like, socks on a carpet. I'm wearing sneakers with rubber bottoms. Well, I mean, most sneakers have rubber bottoms. Whoa, that's cool, Jotaro. You have the power to disrupt radio signals when you walk by? That's dope. You're a mutant. Mutants exist! I wish I could do that. I mean, I think I know what caused it. You know how they tell kids not to stick stuff in the electrical socket? Well, ADD kids don't listen. So when I was little, I did stick a fork in the outlet. And I think that's what happened. I think I have electrical energy inside my body that just, like, I don't know. Luckily for me, you know, I didn't get yeeted by that. Well, that was still pretty stupid. But I've done stupid stuff. ADD kids are very accident prone. They are. And when adults tell you not to do something, it means you have to do it. That's why, if you have ADD kids, you gotta be very careful how you tell them to do things. Because they want to prove you wrong. Mom said, don't do that. Mom looked away for a second. Yank! Zzz. In my defense, I was 3 or 4. But I got very lucky. Whoops. Darn it. Still couldn't beat these fools. Ugh. Maybe I was sweating? No, you can't. As a human, you can't place a metal object inside of an electrical socket. You can't. If you're a baby or an elderly, if you do that, it's usually like game over. So I had guardian angels working overtime. Little toddler K-wing or 4-year-old K-wing, whatever. My grandpa was ticked because I blew a fuse, but also because I did something that's stupid. Because of that incident, in my grandparents' house and my parents' house, there was always these really annoying plastic outlet covers. If you were going to plug something in my house, you had to pry out the little plastic protector. Because my grandpa, the day it happened, he went out and he bought, like, all these, like... They were very popular in the 80s. There was this, like, little plastic plug cap. And he went through the entire house. Because we lived in a 2-family New York apartment. So he went all the way in the basement, the attic, wherever he thought I could get to. And he put those plastic plugs in every single outlet. And people would have to take the thing out in order to plug something in. My grandpa really cared about me. Do I get shocked by static electricity? Yep. I get a buildup of Amber gets shocked a lot by me. Like, I'll go to hug her on the rug and she'll be like, ow! Because, like, I say something, you know, very on brand for me. I'm like, hey, we still got the sparks. I still give you the jolts. Our relationship's so electric. Yeah? I can get away with saying those puns because literally sparks fly when we touch. Huh? Hey, I make it work. I will always use humor as not just deflection, but also just as a part of my personality. She kissed me once a couple years ago when I was walking on the carpet, and I did use a static shock line because she was like, ow! And I was like, face it, I sent a shock through your system. I will never stop being me. Corny jokes, dad jokes, you name it, I got you. I got you. That's what I'm all about. And we got incoming. And now you die. Well, maybe this bike wasn't a bad idea. I don't know. Wait, where's my cloud thing? Aren't I supposed to have the cloud thing over me? Okay, now the balloon shows up. Wow, this is a tough... Yeah, I can't talk anymore. This is a tough fight for second, yo. It's a very tough fight for second. Whoa! Wahoo! Oh, no! My only grounds for defending myself was taken away. Stupid game. No! You got this. Or not. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on! Yeah, baby! I was probably sweating when I kissed her. No, I don't think that would cause an electric shock. Even static electricity. But yeah, it was shocking. Okay, sometimes Amber, if she wanted to, she was tempting to do this on stream, but she wanted to take a balloon and put it on my head without doing the thing to see if it would stick on my head for a science experiment. And I said that would be totally humiliating. And she's like, it'd be funny. It's like, yeah, it would be funny, but also be incredibly humiliating. Ah! Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Are we tied? Oh, we're tied. 25-25. When are we getting to Deluxe? When do you think we need to start Deluxe, Sora? We're just trying to milk content until we get to June 5th. When do you think we should start Deluxe? Because we're going to go through 50 cc's, all the courses, 100 cc's, all the courses, 150 cc's, mirror cc's. If you think that if we start it now, we'll make June, then we can start the Switch one. Because I mean, I'm milking this game for all it's worth at the moment. Hello. Do 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 die. Da 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 da. Old man coming through. Yep, this has always been about trying to get stuff in preparation for Mario Kart World on June 5th. So the idea was to be done with our Mario Kart Road 2 series by June 4th. So whatever we can do to milk, we're going to milk. Because we only have 2 Mario Kart games left. Mario Kart Tour and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We cannot look at the arcade Mario Kart game. I tried, it's not going to work. I did manage to download a ROM of it. It looks terrible. It's not playable. I don't think the ROM, the emulator could handle it, or there was a problem with recording it. I don't know, but it did not work. I know Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has more courses. Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. Go away. Go away with that crazy nonsense. Oh. Snap, crackle, pop! Nope, that's second. My body generates an electric charge? That's terrifying. Well, how do I make it stop? Hisses at Vic. Okay. Oh no, we lost again? Ugh. I don't think I can pull this off. I'll try. We should probably try to get whatever medal we can. So has anybody done the math of how long it'll take us to do Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? How many days have we been covering Mario Kart 8 Wii U? Waha. Da 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 da. No. Maybe my baby body absorbed the electricity and it stored it in my body to keep me from, you know, game over. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe I'm the first mutant. Electro-Man. Nah, I would go with the name Zap because that's what happens to me. I'd be Zap Man. Ow. It wouldn't be a very useful power, though. I don't think. Do 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 do. No! Wahoo! Well, I tried. At least I tried. I tried. I got second, but it wasn't enough. Whoa! That's silver, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, I won? Are they gonna give it to me? Yeah! I got gold, baby! Woo! It only took me 3 hours to get... Wait, 2 gold medals? Oh. It would take 14 days? Alright, so Jotaro, when should we start Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? So you're saying Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be 14 live streams? Don't we have like 20 days left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Technically 21 days. Alright, so I need to start Mario Kart Deluxe by the 19th. Oh, Jotaro would say this weekend. Okay. Okay. That's another gold, baby. And you guys said I couldn't get gold medals in 200cc. Yo. What now, playa? Gotta give respect to the K-Wing, yo. Because look at that. That's 3 medals in 200cc's. Bam. You said it. The naysayer said it couldn't be done, yo. Look at this. Feast your eyeballs on this. Huh? Look at that. All mirror, too. Boom. Boom. Yeah. And this was without the DLC carts, too. I don't have no DLC carts. You would say this weekend, so I should try to keep finishing up 200cc's then for this, or go to Mario Kart. Explain how Mario Kart Tour works. How do I do that? What am I expecting of Mario Kart Tour? Can anybody give me the lowdown of how that works? What am I, like, how many tracks, or how many cups does Mario Kart Tour have? Boss fights? Like new costumes, wait, there's new cups all the time? How many cups do they let you pay? Like, do you have to pay to do the Grand Prix? Like, for instance, like, Mario Kart has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Usually 8 cups, right? How many cups can I play free to play with Mario Kart Tour? Like, how does that work? Whoops. You have to get a set number. So we probably won't get to show the whole thing for Mario Kart Tour then, but we could show, like, at least, like, maybe a few days worth of content. You think? So, why don't we try Mario Kart Tour on Friday, and then do Mario Kart Deluxe on the 18th. Gives us the 18th through June 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then we can find ways of milking out Mario Kart for 4 days before Mario Kart World comes out. Yeah. Oh, you'll show me how it works when we play it? Okay. Cool. Alright, so we got 1,000 views. Now comes the part that I don't like, which is we have to plug in the Wii. Well, Thank you guys very much for the gifted memberships. You rock. I don't know how we're doing hourly. Oh, okay. Wow, we had a short go boom. We had a short go pop. Cool. All right, I like that. I like that very much, actually. That's great. I like when shorts go pop. Good luck. Well, I mean, I wanted to show you guys the Mario Kart arcade game, but I can't get it working. So there's that. I would have loved to show you Mario Kart GP 1 and 2, but it's not going to work out. That's the one thing we can't do coverage for. And we can't do the Mario Kart Labo thing, so... Mario Kart on mobile, we might be able to pull off. But like I said, we have to do that late night because I get a lot of annoying calls. So we're going to have to... I thought there was a King of Fighters thing releasing soon. Try not to electric myself. No, it's going to happen. I can't prevent it. As soon as I plug in the Wii, I'm going to get zapped. There's nothing... You can't... Whether the Wii is on or off, it doesn't matter. There's no stopping it. Every day. Why do you think I have Amber plug in everything? Because she never gets zapped. When she's not here... When she's not here, it's the worst for me because I always get zapped. I'm mentally preparing for the zappage now. Yep, watching shorts, that works out. Yep, I just can't verbally confirm it, mind you. But yeah, you were correct, Popstar. Alright, guys, thanks so much. Let's head on over to Mario Tennis, which is going to be cray-cray. Mario Tennis is going to be nuts. Because we're playing on the hardest difficulty. And if we manage to complete the hardest difficulty, we're going to be playing as Wiggler, but we won't be... I'm not going to subject myself to the hardest difficulty again, because I don't need to. I have nothing to prove after that. But I need to prove to myself I can beat the hardest difficulty, so we're gonna have quite a battle against Shy Guy today. It's gonna be intense, so just hold on to your tennis rackets. Did I already say thank you for the gifted membership? I can't remember. The fighting game collection is on the what? The fighting game collection was supposed to come out for SNK and Capcom 2. And there's also a Fantasy Life game that was supposed to come out. I don't know if Fantasy Life got delayed. There were so many delays that happened in May. Made my head spin. Yeah, I heard about them canceling that Kingdom Hearts game. I'm bummed too. But at least Kingdom Hearts 4 isn't canceled, so take solace in that. You gotta take the wins where you get them. Because they're very few. Collection 2 is on the 16th. Okay. Fantasy Life is coming on the 21st. There you go. So yeah, we need to finish Mario Tennis soon because it's going to be replaced by the Capcom game. Alright guys, I will see you over on the tennis.